Allow me to invite the second delegation, Honorable William from
Mrs. Angela McKay, the former German Vice Chancellor once said, and I quote, the world is interconnected and restricting ownership of businesses based on nationality can hinder economic growth and innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, why should we ask the policies that will affect our economic development as South Sudanese? Thank you, Mr. Moderator, for the chance. I would like to extend my warm and sincere greetings to the executive of juries, the CRAC, the two antagonistic parties, not forgetting you, my wealthy and loved friends. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening. I am William Kohor, the second speaker from the Negator side, Brunel Secondary School, Data Campus, here to strongly disagree with the topic of tonight's discussion, which wrong is this. This House believes that retail businesses will be owned by South Sudanese, of which we think Negators disagree with, and we believe that by the time we are all to leave this house, we shall have convinced you that denying and restricting foreigners from owning retail businesses is something that will affect us in the near future. My lords, please, would you please allow me to critique the views presented earlier on by the two Negators before I proceed? Ladies and gentlemen, I overheard the team of farmers talking of economic leakages, saying that foreigners take back the money they get from South Sudan to develop their countries. I disagree. Why do I disagree? Because these people, whenever they are carrying out their trade in South Sudan, they don't send back all the money to their countries. They are, in other words, taxed, and this money goes back to our government of South Sudan. They also talk of exploitation of citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, the policy the team Negators are trying to implement now is to allocate 60% to our own citizens and 40% to the foreigners. Therefore, there will be laws that will govern us, and as this percentage will separate us, I don't see any point where exploitation will come in here because the percentages will separate us. They also had to say that, they ask the question that, do you believe that South Sudanese have the potential to operate these businesses? No, I don't believe, because the illiteracy rates in South Sudan are still high, and some of these people in South Sudan are really affected by the economic crisis and other things. They are even poor, and they cannot invest in other skills to do other things. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to remind you that they went ahead to say that this is not South Sudan of those days, saying that everyone is illiterate. In that case, why did you say that the foreigners who started investing in South Sudan have the money by now? They should be able to set up the retail businesses. In that way, if you disagree that this is not South Sudan of those days, then your work of saying retailers have got the money those days will not work well. Having classed all those videos and already, allow me to dive into my constructive arguments. My first point of argument is based on economic growth and development. Ladies and gentlemen, this comes in when many people are bringing their goods into our country and invest, as our local people produce their goods locally. There will be more production in our country, hence increase in our GDP. That stands for gross domestic product. And this is the total value of goods and services produced in the country per year. Every country's economy is therefore determined by this GDP. And that is to say, the more the production the country makes, the higher the GDP, hence development economically. Ladies and gentlemen, our population as South Sudanese today is estimated to be around 12 million people, of which most of us are not business-minded people. And if they do, most of us also live in remote areas. So if we are only to rely on this small population, we shall have less production in our country, hence our GDP will reduce, we shall not develop in that basis. Assuming, if we are to have that population like our businesses, we shall have few businesses in our country, hence reduction. Compare the situation where we have 2 more million Ugandans, 2 more million Kenyans, 2 more million Eritreans, and many more. In this case, we shall have more production in our own country, hence high GDP, therefore we shall develop economically. Therefore, we, the Negators, are saying we should give the opportunity of owning these retail businesses to anybody who has the capacity of owning them, other than saying that it is only the South Sudanese to own them. Secondly, with this point, ladies and gentlemen, we are reaching the East African Community principles of free trade, which will later jeopardize the social and economic relations with other countries. Ladies and gentlemen, you should know that we are a member of the East African Community, and we need to respect and follow the principles that govern us in that case, of which one of them, and one of the main principles, is free trade. We, the members of the East African community, are allowed to carry out trade with any other member of the East African community. And to prove this, ladies and gentlemen, this is an evidence showing Article 76 of the East African Community Treaty of East Agreement. It is here, and also can have a proof on that. And it should also be reminded that there is an ongoing examination meeting that of the East African Community on how to care for this micro and small business enterprises. And it is to be held in our own town, South Sudanese, just 2 days from now in Freedom Hall. That is something so that we are a member of the East African community and we have agreed to the policies that we are supposed to follow. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now. Ladies and gentlemen, we should therefore allow anybody who has the potential and capacity of running these retail businesses to operate it and deny the foreigners and the later retaliate against our all citizens in their own countries. An example is in 2013, when Ugandan men were denied being perpetrators in South Sudan. They retaliated in Uganda against our own citizens, and our citizens were seriously mistreated by some Ugandans. Today, we should be very serious and open our eyes on our policies so that we also care about our citizens who are not in South Sudan, maybe in East Africa and Europe. Therefore, if it is a policy to be added by this House, then it should aim at partnering us with the foreigners as South Sudanese, and we shall therefore allocate 60% to our citizens and at most 40% to the foreigners. Allow me now to summarize what I started in this matter. I still negate and I have proven the fact that our economic growth and development will be partly affected by this policy the farmers are asking for. And I also expounded on the creation of East African community principle of free trade. Conclusively, ladies and gentlemen, Isaac Asimu once said and God, there are no nations, no countries or people, there is only humanity. And if we don't come to realize this also, then there will be no nations because there is no humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, our farmers' ideas are being driven by hatred and anger for the foreigners because of being out-competed in the retail businesses. And you should not forget that decisions that are driven by anger and hatred are always the greatest undoings at long last. I am proud today. Thank you very much.
At this moment, we invite the first farmer, Matian, for cross-examination.
Thank you. First question. So you support the status quo that you work together, that is 40 and 60% as proposed and adopt this policy measure. So we also have the negative consequences we stated at the sexual labor exploitation and economic leakage. Can you provide solutions that you want to do for those kind of problems?
Thank you very much. And to remind you, our status quo is not better than yours. It's better than yours rather. Because in your case you are saying it should go away and South Sudanese should be the only people. At least ours, we care about them, that's why we still people not participating. And about the economic leakages, you should know that there are government officials that will work on this. They can send their officials into the shops and check if it is our citizens doing these leakages and other things, then they should be funds according to our laws and our country. If it is serious, they go to the East African Community Council.
So you're basically saying that they're going to be shutting down banks so that the money is not sent out. Thank you. Secondly, you also say that skills will be passed down from foreigners to South Sudanese. So what do you understand when we say that they are not being just away? Don't you think skills can still be passed down?
Thank you. We are not saying banks will be closed, but about that point of saying that foreigners are sending back the money to their countries through the banks, right? Is that what you are saying?
One case. Let me repeat that second question. I said that you talked about skills being passed down from foreigners to South Sudanese. We told you that we're not just these people away. So don't you think that skills can still be passed down by these foreigners existing within the country?
I think we are chasing them away because we will deny them this opportunity to run retail businesses. They will have nothing to do and therefore they are chased away and they will go back to their country.
So clearly you deny the profits that are being made since 2011 till 2024. Thank you. 3. You talked about stiff competition due to high quality goods that will be brought in. That's why you need them to remain that. So what do you suppose will happen when these people set up the structures that we told you about and the thing that is happening within the current status quo? What makes you think that it's still going to work out at the end of the day?
I think it will still work out because our citizens don't have that high entrepreneurial skills as you stated earlier on. And if we do this, we shall interact with the elements as we continue learning from each other and we shall become the best at the end of the day.
You still not answered that, but let's move on. You were saying that South Sudanese don't have the potential to operate their businesses. And you are the people that come on board and tell us that 60% should be given to South Sudanese. So when will they get those kind of skills that they don't have to operate right now?
That is the very reason we are saying foreigners will still operate this business as we keep on learning from them.
Yes.
You're trying to say that you don't learn things to have you talked about the money we being because they are being taxed, right? So what is this going to it has been happening since 2011 they are being taxed. Why do you think we're still having economic crisis?
Due to corruption, we have
You did it.
We are now going to the last speakers, right? Silence, please. Silence. If you continue to talk, we'll suspend the debate from there. I will say all of you are listeners. Allow me at this moment to find the last affirmative